The thing that we got to think about with SGA is getting the others involved and having their confidence to pick up the scoring if his scoring drops.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Wind Up Wednesday edition, in segment 1, we're going to have an NBA Conference Finals preview, and we're also going to have a discussion on how do you move on from the stars. In segment 2, we're going to give you our thoughts on the NBA Combine and the top storylines as we get ready for the draft, because the draft is about 4 weeks away. And in segment 3, a lot of growing pains in WNBA. We're going to have that discussion. With me today is our basketball correspondent, Danny Thompson. Danny, the NBA Conference Finals are here. We're going to start with the Western Conference first because fans, as you know, we tape on Sunday, and ain't no way we staying up late to watch Detroit and Cleveland. So game 1 is Monday, which would have already aired. Game 2 is Wednesday when this comes out. Game 3 is Friday. Game 4 is a week from today when we tape on Sunday, May 24th. Then we've got Game 5, May 26th. Game 6, May 28th, and Game 7 is Saturday nights, all right, for fighting May 30th. If there's a Game 7, there's going to be a place that the OCP is going to get some folks together, swap some lies, and tell some stories. So, Danny, I'm going to book May 30th if there's a Game 7 with OKC and San Antonio. But the big question for you, sir, 1, can SGA actually get his scoring levels back up? Because there's been a little dip. But then again, the talent they were playing was not very good. Now you're playing San Antonio. What do you think?
I think scoring won't be an issue for SGA. The main thing that people always worry about with Shea was how was his shooting going to be from beyond the three-point line? Because one thing he can do is, you saw this season, his three-point average has improved dramatically this year. We always knew he was going to be a guy that get to the basket and work well within the mid-range. So scoring is not going to be difficult for him. The thing that we got to think about with SGA is getting the others involved and having their confidence to pick up the scoring if his scoring drops. So, for instance, with the Thunder, you already know Chet Holmgren is going to be like that reliable third option. But because Jalen Williams is technically still not 100%, Chet is going to has to be a second option for them right now. Now, Jalen will come back. He'll be ready for, if I'm not mistaken, he'll be ready for game 1, which is tomorrow, which is Monday night. And Jalen Williams, one thing we know about him is he's going to be that workhorse in the starting lineup. He's going to be that guy that does everything that SGA won't be able to keep the pressure off of him. That'll allow SGA to get back to that scoring that we know him to be for. So if he can continue to work within the mid-range, continue to work that 10 feet and in, his scoring is not going to be a problem. And as we've seen through the first couple rounds, albeit the competition, the talent that he went up against wasn't, up to par, he was able to get others involved, which in turn opened the floor up for him. So that's one thing. One thing as a scorer, especially the lead guy, is once they get the others going, it is open season for him. Because now they're going to have to focus on game plan for everybody else. And then they're going to forget, our main guy still hasn't gone off yet, and then he's going to start going off. So
this is a good segue for this because both teams are deep. And one of the rules that Adams talks about is don't let secondary become primary, because if primary's cooking and secondary's cooking, it makes for a long night on the scouting report. So, Danny, in your opinion, and you touched on it a little bit, I'd like for you to go into a little deeper conversation with it. Which team, in your opinion, is actually deep, San Antonio or OKC?
That is a good question because that's one thing I was thinking about as we were getting into the Western Conference Finals. I was speaking to somebody on Friday when somebody had asked me, did you think San Antonio was going to beat Minnesota on Friday night? I said, I'm not worried about San Antonio. Well, at that point I was because I told her I'm not worried about Wembanyama. He is going to get his. I don't need him to go off for 25. I need him, if he can give me a solid 18, 19, I'm good. It was the others around him. And we got that Friday night with Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, and De'Aaron Fox. All three of them went off for San Antonio Friday night. If they can get that same performance from that trio, this will be a series because from a roster standpoint, Oklahoma City is much deeper. Oklahoma City can go 9, 10 deep. San Antonio, you can probably get a good 8. And maybe 8 to 9 because you got to factor Luke Cornett's going to sub in and start and spell Victor for a little bit. Keldon Johnson, 6th man of the year. Champagny is your shooter, but then you think about after that, Harrison Barnes is your serviceable vet. But outside of that, I still trust OKC's roster better. Now, I still think San Antonio is going to make a series out of this. I don't think this is going to be a short series. I think this is going to be a long one because OKC is coming in hot. They've looked unbeatable from the end of the season up to this point in the playoffs. So I think I trust OKC's roster more because they can go deeper. But I still think San Antonio's roster is still good enough as far as the rotations go that this can be a 7-game series. And don't be surprised if San Antonio gets through this series and go to the finals.
Okay. All right. So for me, very briefly, before we move to the Eastern Conference Finals, I just want to watch. And that's the best compliment I can give the Western Conference Finals. I will stay up late and I'm going to watch. And again, that's the best compliment I can give. Which takes us to the East. I can't be full Harley race mode in Starcade 83 because I don't think either the Pistons or the Cavs can beat the Knicks. I just don't. I have like not a belief in them. The thing is, I kind of feel bad for James Harden. And our favorite administrator, Robert Abney, brought up something in the group chat that just was like, Harden has got the most stats and the least production probably of any superstar. There's no doubt that he is a ball player. But you're judged differently. And this generation kind of a player has got a lot of stats, but not a lot of impact. So when you start talking about the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Very Good, what memories do you have? Well, I got memories of Isaiah in the postseason. I got memories of Mike in the postseason. Got memories of Kobe, LeBron, Shaq, the captain Kareem running down. And I got memories of James Harden throwing the ball out of bounds. There I am. So, any thoughts? Forget the Eastern Conference schedule. We'll get to the finals. But any thoughts on the Eastern Conference Finals, man?
I mean, I
hope I'm not too hard because it's a no bum conversation. My Knicks fans are mad at me because I just don't like how you play. I don't like. It's too ball dominant. Nobody's moving. Where's the back screen? Nothing. It's just like pound, shoot.
And this is why I always have the conversation with everybody. There's a difference between a hooper and a basketball player. I see a lot of hoopers this time around. I don't see a lot of basketball players. Okay, basketball players can do everything on the floor. Hoopers, you just roll the ball out and let them go. Right? James Harden is a hooper. James Harden doesn't always make the most sound basketball decisions most of the time. Now, as far as the Eastern Conference goes, again, I said this from Jump Street. This is New York's series to lose.
To lose.
Okay? Detroit is not experienced enough, as we've seen now. I'm tired of them going to 7-game series, and this is only the first 2 rounds of the playoffs.
Cade's a baller, though. I like that kid.
Yeah, Cade. Look, Cade is not a problem. Cade Cunningham is going to do what he does. I have no issues with him. It's what we just discussed when we were talking about the Western Conference.
And we look down at the bench.
It's the others. I need to look down the bench. What am I getting?
Cade played I think I'm going to text you. Cade played 39 minutes. Oh, God. Yeah. That's not going to work, buddy.
No, it's not going to work. I told somebody this yesterday. If Jalen Darryn can get his head out his behind and play like the big that we saw during the regular season, Detroit runs away with this. It's a no-brainer. It's a done deal. We know what we get. But Jalen Darryn has not looked good these playoffs. He is not. And that's why they've been struggling. Because you can't depend on Cade to do everything.
No.
Tobias, he's the vet, but you can't depend on him to be the second option. It needs to be Jalen Darryn. You're getting solid production out of everybody when you go down the bench for what it looks like. The problem is that big boy in the middle. Yeah. That's the issue. And it's not like he's not a ball. He can play. He just has to show it. He did it during the regular season. I need him to be able to transfer that to the playoffs. And they're going to need him later on for Game 7. Because if he doesn't show up, it's a wrap.
Okay, speaking of transferring, as we close the segment, we got some stars that we need to deal with. Bucks have a Giannis problem. Lakers have a LeBron problem. Clippers have a Kawhi problem. Philly has got a Joel Embiid and Paul George problem. Any of these situations you want to take on? How do you deal with the aging star?
I don't want LeBron because LeBron's going to be too expensive to work with. Giannis, from what it sounds like after listening to Miles Turner give his opinion, has become entitled. Joel Embiid, there's the effort conversation. I don't like it, but it's there. I will deal with Kawhi. Okay. I can work with his injury history. I can work with his load management situation. I can deal with that. And I can.
What about Uncle Dennis? They keep telling me his uncle is in the way.
I can find a way to deal with Uncle Dennis. I have seen teams deal with disgruntled family members. Let's put it that way. Kawhi, this past 2 seasons, has been playing better basketball than Giannis. Joel has been non-existent because he's been injured. And that's not his fault. It comes with the territory. When Kawhi is on the floor and he's healthy and he's playing like we know he can, Kawhi's a top 10, maybe fringe top 5 player in the league because of what he can do on both ends of the floor, which it brings you back to the two-way player conversation. Get that lexicon out of the basketball vocabulary. You should be able to play on both ends of the floor. So that's another rant for another day. I'll find a way to get Kawhi to my team because he makes us better defensively. He doesn't take back shots, and he works with what he knows he can do. He doesn't do too much. I can work with that.
All right. So for me, I don't do distractions. I don't do noise. So if I'm going to take any of these problems, let me tell you what I'm not going to do. Get me off the coast. I have no interest in the Clippers, and I have no interest in the Lakers. Y'all got too much noise going on. Philly, your fans are ridiculously nuts, so you can have that. Give me Giannis and the Bucks because the national media is not going to stay in Milwaukee. It's cold. As Prince once said, the cold keeps the bad people out. So I'm going to stay in Milwaukee. Milwaukee wants to hire Adams. Call me. I'll pick up the phone. We've got to get rid of Giannis. And we've got to get some quieter players so we can just play basketball. We talking about flights, talking about planes being late. We're talking about brothers and then how many are on the team. I don't want to do any of that. It's hard enough to win basketball games. So let's reconstruct and let's be boring in Milwaukee. So that's the star I would want to deal with. Keep me off the coast. Too much I-95 in Philly. and too much tinsel in the town of LA. I'm going to Milwaukee and be like Happy Days and Laverne and Show. Okay. All right. So with that, dated reference. The kids are like, what are you talking about? Hey.
They're not going to know.
So with that, in segment 2, let's talk about the new generation, the NBA Combine. Get Danny's thoughts on it. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. Shamil Shamil. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here. And for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CK Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches Podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast, and in segment 2, all right, the NBA Combine, Chicago Heat, some of the top storylines from the NBA Combine. Danny, we've got the race to number 1. That's not a race. It's AJ Dybantsa, and the Wizards need to fight Danny Ainge and not pick up the phone and just get the guy. So although AJ more likely than not wants to stay in Utah, likely not, go get him and keep it moving. I also like Darryn Peterson, but I told you all year I like Darryn Peterson. And the reason why I like Darryn Peterson is because whatever he did at Kansas, I ain't going to ask him to do. Okay? So that's a Kansas problem. So I like that kid. A lot of point guards out there, but I don't know if they can play NBA point guards. So I'm going to pause on that and see if you want to talk about it. Caleb Wilson, hey, I'm not going to ask you what Hubert did, so I like him. So I like AJ, I like the Peterson kid, and I like Caleb Wilson. And then everybody else is kind of the same to me. So unlike the rest of the world, I like 3 players in this draft. Everyone else is serviceable, solid, okay. They ain't going to hurt us. But there's 3 difference makers I see. Could be wrong. What are your thoughts on the NBA Draft Combine?
So the first thing that comes to my mind as the princess stomps away around the couch, I'm with you. There are only 3 players that raise my ire to the point where you need to figure out how you're going to get this player. You already mentioned AJ Dybantsa and Darryn Peterson. Done deal. There's a point guard that plays for John Calipari down in Arkansas who I've been on the entire season. And that's Darius Acup Jr. I'm not for the way the league is now. We know the term true point guard is a lost art nowadays. Chris Paul's retired. Rajon Rondo is in head coaching conversations. There aren't many true floor generals in the league right now. And if they are, they're not well known. But with Darius A. Cup, he reminds me a lot of Derrick Rose with the way he can change pace, get to the cup, attack. But what differentiates him from Derrick Rose was his vision coming out of college. Darius A. Cup, that's the one thing that I rave about him is the fact his vision and his change of pace. We know he can put the ball in the basket. That's a given with him. With what he can do with the ball in his hands, finding open teammates, getting to the basket, he can be a difference if he goes to the right team. That's the thing. We sit here and say these players going to these teams, even though these teams are struggling, but if he can go to the right team, he will thrive. And I thought I would never say this as a guy who is a post player, that I would be raving about a point guard, but right now, those are the only three that are caught my eye. Cole Pete, there's conversations he might go back. Caleb Wilson.
Back, kid.
Yeah, Caleb Wilson, he's coming off of the injury. I'm still high on him, but he's not in that category that we're talking about. Boozer, what is he?
I'm not a fan of Boozer, and I've said that all year. I don't think what he does translates to high-level success. He looks like a rotational guy to me. And again, it's a no-bum conversation. But one of the things I like to look at, if you can rebound in high school, you can rebound in college. If you can rebound in college, you can rebound the NBA, because rebound is like an effort stat. But at Duke, things were kind of centered around him. And when you get to the league, I ain't got time for all that. So go get the ball. Go set a screen. Go do, what else can you do? What else you got?
And the thing about Boozer is, for his position, with the way they play in the league at the 4, he ain't athletic or quick enough to keep up with the power forwards in the league right now. Well, they're going to blow by him when he gets to the league. If he can work on that, maybe. But I'm with you. He's more like a rotational. He's not a game-changing player that's going to make a difference for your franchise as the guy. Can he? We don't know. But from what I saw when he was in Duke, he was pretty much that I'm bigger than you and stronger than you. You're not going to stop. That's what he was in college.
There's still, to Coach Adams, there's still only two types of players: difference makers and role players. And if you ain't a difference maker, what's your role? So I don't know. I'd like to see more. Depends on the team. But hey, on segment 3, we're going to talk about some growing pains in the WNBA. We're going to see which team or player we want to have a conversation about. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
Today's student athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA SAVE project is here to change that. For 16 plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA SAVE project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 3, we got some growing pains in year 30 of the WNBA. So after the first week or two, we're really not going to get into the standings. I tend not to, on the show, get into the standings until after they play 10 to 15 games. Then you can kind of see some trends. But there's some early things that have caught my eye. But Danny, early on, what has caught your eye in terms of growing pains in the WNBA?
Caitlin Clark, if she doesn't get efficient, they are going to struggle this season. I watched the game. I was able to catch the playback of the game between Indiana and Washington for Friday night. I looked at her shot selection. Caitlin Clark is either I'm chucking a 3 on finding a way to get into the paint. There's nothing in between. She shot 7 of 17 from three-point range. The rest of her shots were in the paint. She took 4 mid-range shots and only hit 1. And then 1 was from the free throw line. Everybody's saying, oh, she figured out her three-point woes. No, she didn't. She shot 7 of 17 from three-point range. It's not figuring it out. Miss me with that. She figured out the three-point shot woes. No, she didn't. Because if she did, I would take 10 of 17. Hell, I'll take 9 of 17. That's at least over 50%. She shot 7 of 17 from the three-point line. I'm not, and I'm not with your players chucking threes where majority of your shots come from her. I get it. She's their girl.
That's still 41%, coach.
I'll take 41. Look, at 41%, okay, yes, that is efficient for professional standards. But for the rest of the game, she didn't shoot the ball well. She just didn't. It was not good. And everybody's like, oh, man, she hit the threes in the overtime. Okay, they still lost. She's not efficient. She can't deal with the physical grind. And I'm not saying, and that is my only hindrance with her. Nothing else. If she can't figure out being efficient and she can't deal with the physicality, because I also saw how when you crowd her space, she's going to get frustrated and she's going to make a terrible decision like she did with that offensive foul late in the game. It's going to happen.
Uh-huh.
And if teams keep focusing in on that, Indiana is lost. They're not going to do anything with it. So Indiana better figure it out, because if not, and she better figure out these efficiency issues, because if not, I'm going to say, hey, I agree with that anonymous GM poll where they're saying they prefer starting their franchise with Paige Bueckers over Caitlin Clark. And they're looking at, everybody's like, man, I would start with Caitlin. I'm looking at it from a money perspective. I'm trying to win. And if you are efficient with the ball in your hands, I'm going to tab you. I don't need a person chucking threes.
She is out a lot, but okay. So the Dallas Wings are on my mind. And I told our listeners at the beginning of the season, kind of paying extra attention to Dallas. So they did a massive overhaul. They hired Jose Fernandez and they drafted Azzi Fudd as the number 1 pick. And Coach Fernandez called his team out in the first week of the season. I'm paused. And he used the word selfishness to describe the locker room. He is frustrated by players getting in their feelings regarding minutes and roles rather than focusing on defensive effort, which gives me pause to say, how did you front load what you were going to do? Or is this a case of you actually mean what you say, but I'm not a fan of the over Phil Jackson coach through the media kind of thing. Not with this generation. Now, again, as the season wears on, they're right now the 4th worst defense in the league after 3 games. Fernandez isn't just complaining. He's threatening a convincing film session. Come on now. So what are we doing? At the end of the day, what are we doing? He's also playing Azzi kind of sparingly and playing Odyssey Sims a little more. Did you really think you were going to make the playoffs this year? You got Paige Bueckers, you got Enrique, you got Azzi Fudd. I would slow down a little bit, but yeah, that's a big hump that we don't need a lot of extra noise this early in the season. That's kind of me. Danny, I did want to bring up to you one other thing before we wrap up. The freedom of movement. Can the WNBA balance flow versus physicality? As a post player, a lot of fouls being called early in the season. Any thoughts about the WNBA's pace of play, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't stay within that 2-hour window, you're going to lose people. And you still got to call fouls, and there's got to be a happy balance. But what are you thinking, Danny?
As a guy who loves the physical part of the game, this is just getting a little bit too much. With the foul calls that they're calling, it's not like they're calling like physical fouls. These are a lot of chippy fouls that is causing the game to slow. There's no way a game should be close to 3 hours and it's not an overtime game. I saw Brandon Stewart complain about the game being almost 2 hours and 45 minutes because of the foul call. Caitlin Clark mentioned the whole keeping your hands off, which again ties into what I said. She has been able to deal with the physicality, right? Something's got to be done. If you're going to call fouls, fine. Do that. But don't start calling every simple chippy ticky tack foul because it's in the rule book. If it's a foul, let it be a legit foul. These little chip foul, these little ticky tack calls that they've been calling, it's starting to slow the pace of the game down. Like I shouldn't be sitting back here watching the game and then thinking to myself, how much longer do we have to go? There's this old rule is when the game has 5 minutes to go, you probably have 30 minutes left in the game because depending on how close the game is, teams are going to find a way to call fouls to slow the game down so they can catch up. That's fine. I shouldn't be thinking that in the second quarter before we even get to that point at the end of the game, right? So if the league can find a way to limit the ticky tack fouls, I think they'll be okay. Right now, it's still early, so it's not something that's high on my radar because it's something I don't necessarily think about. At the same time, they gotta find a way to roll this in before we get into like July and August.
All right. So to close, I recently read a piece where one of my favorite writers at Sports Folks, Bomani Jones, kind of admitted that he doesn't know what career advice to give anymore because of the industry changing. It was kind of heartbreaking, but it does confirm exactly why the CKA Save Project exists. Where legacy systems see a dead end, we see a new playbook. I'm looking forward to sharing that new playbook at the Black Student Athlete Summit this week in Eugene, Oregon. So what are we bringing to Eugene? Our 100-100 standard. We present myself and Roland Hairston III, our CKA project manager, VIP project manager, on Wednesday, May 20th, when this show comes out, room 141 at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to talk a lot about how to bridge the resume gap while demonstrating that you can do both. We're also looking to complete our national research studies. We're looking for 100 student athletes, any level of college, to take our surveys on student athlete motivation, academic and athletic, as well as your thoughts on collective bargaining. And we're also looking for 100 coaches to talk about what it's like now because it's different and your voice needs to be heard. We're also looking to expand the reach of the Odd Coaches podcast with our Global Access Initiative. We're going to meet, we're going to interview, we're going to develop show content. Super producer Kelly does a great job of getting us out there. So again, we're there. So if you're at the Black Student Athlete Summit and you want to chat, hit us up. Follow us on social media at CK Save Project. And if you're unable to chat there or you're just interested in the CKA virtual internship program, on Tuesday, May 26th at 8:15 Eastern Time, we are having a Zoom. So reach out, slide into the DMs or whatever, and come listen to what we have to say. because, again, you need some help. And when your future's on the line, experience matters, and let our experience help you. So on behalf of our basketball correspondent, the one that got away, Danny Thompson, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. Also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. And we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches Podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the Odd Coaches Podcast on the X platform at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Save Project on social media at CKA Save Project. For more information about the CKA Save Project, visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.